Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to sit in for the PRO department of the party, and I've been advised or sent to address you on about 3 issues. The first issue that I have been sent to address you to is the issue of the workers in this country who are not employed by government. Those are the workers who save with the National Social Security Fund, NSSF. For us, we are interested in the 2S, Social Security, because when the International Labour Organization started after the Second World War in 1945, they realized that one of the major conflicts in the world is how workers are treated. So the International Labour Organization, ILO, started what it defined as social security, that eventually all over the globe, social security has become a major issue and has evolved into what we would call in many countries national security, social security funds, NSSFs. And it gave about 12 issues on which to address. Because they are thinking that social security workers, in order to be happy, some money must be saved, not in their saving accounts, to help them to be saved from what was called the economic and social distress. They felt that somebody who is working somewhere, a journalist, in the village where you stay, you must be seen as a journalist. But when they find you in a bar also asking for a glass from someone, if you're a smoker asking for a stick, if you need to go transport, you're asking for a lift, that would actually put you down. If you're somebody who's paying rent and you cannot afford your rent, it would actually demoralize anybody to enter the profession or join the profession. So they said, no, that would be the cardinal importance of social security. There was issues like there must be retirement benefits. That is when you're paid money after you've retired. They talked about unemployment benefit. Because there is a time when you leave one media house, you've lost your job, there's that period when you don't have a job. This money that you save must help you not be seen as a pauper. When you get an injury at work, when maternity leave benefit, immigration benefit, like if someone is leaving Uganda permanently to Kenya, to the US, to the UK, wherever you're going. They are 12. But Uganda, now what they did was to narrow all of that into a retirement benefit. That it is the money you get after you retire. It is not social security. It ceases to be. Because if you lost your job for 5-6 years, you'll grass. If your child wants to go to university and you don't have money to pay tuition, you'll grass. It is a reason that most employees have been found in every here circles. These guys who lend money lenders. Now here we hear what you hear, salary loans. You wouldn't be going for salary loans if you have your money saved. What our colleagues in Parliament did when they were being faced with this kind of distress, economic distress, In their saving scheme, they decided that an MP can go and borrow money, and then his saving acts as a security. We've been imploring MPs to do the same to the NSSF. Because in a country where capital is low, people who are going to pick loans not for commercial purposes shouldn't be going to commercial banks. You're going to pay to pick a loan, you have surgery, you want to pay tuition, you want to pay rent. You wouldn't be picking. In Christmas, you're going to see what some 2 years back I saw. It is called Christmas loan. That somebody, you pass through Christmas when you have something. You pick a loan to go and enjoy merry-make, but you are paying money and interest. So there was a request for that 20% money that all of you were supposed to. Not all of you, I see most of you wouldn't even qualify. Because again, they did not want to give you money. Because in Uganda, for somebody to save, you start at 16 and then going forward. That would mean that at 45, you've basically saved for 29 years. But now, somebody who has saved for about 20 years, who should be about 40 years, that person cannot access their money. Because he's not 45, but has saved for more years. So the one who got a job at 35 can eventually pick their money. But again, now they are telling us there is no money. They started with saying money had been borrowed to some countries. Through our investigations, we have learned they've not lent any money to any government. They've not lent any money to any government. NSSF has about 11 trillion. And if we are to use the 20% of what workers need, they would only need about 1 trillion. And it's not a guarantee that every worker who is 45 and has saved for 10 years wants to pick their money. And this debate started more than a year ago. So a prudent manager would save some money. You run the numbers and save that, because you know that that is a popular bill that will come into an act and have money for these people. 10 months are enough, because every month they pick about 100 billion from collections. 10 months they will have 1 trillion. They were giving reasons that giving these people money would cause inflation, would collapse the economy. But they think all of us need to go to economic classes. And I want to think even somebody who did 2 years of economics at A level would be able to understand that that is a lie. What boosts the economy? What boosts the economy is the ability of the people to spend. If people are spending, those selling are able to sell. And those selling will be able to ask those producing to produce more. And the economy is booming. So possibly had they released this money, this game wouldn't be closing. The guys of Africa wouldn't be closing. Because their class are the middle class. And the middle class serves with NSSF. They closed because customers were not spending. The other class of people don't go to game. Game are for those of you who wear ties, who think it is that class. You go, you swipe a card and get money. But when there's nothing on your card, you don't buy. So the argument of this money causing inflation is a fallacy. The guys that have power in this country treat NSSF as their saving. A saving they treat like the sack of the police. Because the sack of the police, those who have 3 stars, I forget their rank, SPs, and below are the ones who save in that exodus. But those managing it are the seniors. So the managers don't save, the savers don't manage. So now when you go to want your money, you wait. And you see, like even the forces, you fear your boss. So we are asking Mr. Byarugaba, the MD, who entered the Committee of Parliament and said there is money, and got out and said there is no money. Mr. Produce people's money. We are calling upon workers. It is high time to stand up and demand for your money. And you won't demand for your money in your beds. You won't demand for your money on WhatsApp. You won't demand for your money on Facebook. You won't demand for your money on Twitter, TikTok, and the rest. You must be seen in numbers. Teachers have been depressed, and others who have lost jobs during the COVID pandemic. You must come out, and be seen to be demanding for your money. That is when some of us will also amplify the voice. Because it's not prudent for us who actually even do not save. Some of us have no social security in this country. We are as if we have no share in this country. To be the ones to be putting your voice up there. They keep sending us messages, please fight for us. No, we can only help you, but you must be on the front. Because when you come up this country that fears people, they release your money. The other issue that I've been sent to address is the issue of the teachers' salaries. As you are aware, Mr. Museveni said that his interest are the science teachers. And therefore those, he will pay what he calls good salaries. But sometimes we fail to understand how Museveni runs the numbers, or who runs the numbers for him. Today, as we stand, a district engineer in this country, whole district, talk about any district you know, they earn about 4 million. That is gross. Run the deduction, you'll see how much money they take home. The one that move lower, who they call the Youth 3 scale, they earn gross 3 million, others 2 million, 1 million as they push down. Those are the engineers who, if they are not there, you have no bridges, you have no roads, there are no constructions. When you go to UNRA, their boss, who I last heard that she was not a scientist, and it's a very good salary, which is about 30 plus million. But the directors, who are engineers, earn a gross of 6 million. The station engineers, who would call station managers, you would say Wakiso, there's a university station I seen in PG, and the like. They earn about, the station that earns about 6 million. That I'm talking about gross. The directors get about 25 million. Gross, what would call the regional engineers get 6 million. A region is like somebody says the Busoga region. The one who is managing all the roads of Busoga, salary is 6 million. The best salary of an MP is 6 million. The basic and the rest they run to 20, 40, depending on where you come from. A KCCA counselor with no qualification attached earns more than a doctor. In your country where they say, now we are going science. Because you want to defeat him on that argument that he's not interested in sciences. How many schools have labs? Yesterday there was a picture running on social media of an anthill in the classroom. That would be an omen telling you of bad things to come. So you teach them and give teachers so good money so that students study sciences and earn so little. So why wouldn't a station engineer who is at the region, sorry, a regional engineer, go to run and go to KCCA? Because you earn a lot with little stress. You don't even need to speak. You earn because you are. But here, when the station engineer is not there, there's no work. So there are issues that you must challenge Mr. Museveni. Mr. Museveni went to school and studied arts. And to be specific, the last classes we had were political science. But when he came here, the first victim was civic education. Civic. That would make somebody aware of things that are happening in the country. Because a person, a human being, must be knowledgeable. He removed it. He went to secondary and removed political science. He went to university and removed political science. Those are not what? Needed. I even hear he says psychology, remove them. Because it is a study of the behavior of the mind. So in a nutshell, he doesn't want reasoning. Lead people who can't reason. He's like what Napoleon was saying in about 1805. That I don't rule people who study history and philosophy. Philosophy is there are two words, the Greek words. The like of wisdom, the search for wisdom. So people who want wisdom, I don't want them. People who want to know what happened, I don't want them. So that we live with the people who do not know the science of management of society. Because the child who had stopped at senior 4 would know the role of a councillor, the role of the president, the role of the state, the role of a political party, and you would see them construct some arguments. Make them green. Run them as robots. So Mr. Museveni, he wants to run a robot country of robots. Because robots have a computer that runs them. You go read a book called 1984 by George Orwell, which he calls Newspeak, where states like ours would want to manage people's kind of thinking, people's kind of behavior, movements, and even what they do. What for the solution the FDC has always proposed? That the country must have a salaries board. A salaries board would analyze, assess all sectors. They look at all the needs. They look at the training, the requirements, and what Mama do. And then we say the contribution to the country. And then they say, so and so should earn this. In a country like Sweden, a primary teacher earns more than an MP. But today, if you want to be rich, join politics. As Rumba says, immediately you are rich. Immediately you have a car. Immediately you have a house. Immediately you have a red passport. Everything, it is immediately you're up there. So why would somebody remain as an engineer? Why would someone remain as a doctor? So Mr. Museveni and those who are everywhere, a salaries board is what kind of, you must not be the giver. So today when he thinks about this is good, You saw in the paper, we saw in the papers last week when they were saying that he's appointing his former prime minister as an envoy. But he says, but his salary must not be the scale of that office. He must earn another given bit of salary. But the law they're having, they say, prime ministers retire with about 75% of their salaries. So if somebody has that salary that he picks every month, why would you give that person another salary? What you would give that person are incentives, allowances to do the job. So will the person pick two salaries from the same consolidated fund? We implore you, journalists, please start asking the hard questions to these guys so that we are able to fix our country. We are saying, again on that, today there is a lot of depression because humanities, what they are called social sciences, as I'm saying, things are not important. We lost the brother of Honorable Salam Musumba, a lawyer. After an argument, he was killed. I don't think the bouncer had a personal ego against the person. But because you find people who are depressed, frustrated, you find him when you see that I think this one is of a higher class, that person becomes a problem. The man who has left home without a kameza, the landlord is demanding something, he's hearing children will be going back to school and there's no saving for that person. It is the same scenario where you saw boda guys pick up bricks to kill a driver who is not a thief, who they even don't know. Because you see, when somebody shows anger to a stranger, that tells you of the level of frustration we have in this country. In the past, the IMF and the World Bank were rating countries on what they used to call income per capita, whereby they used to divide all the riches of this country. And they say everyone has $2,000. I have $2,000. Mr. Museveni has $2,000. That person, a beggar you saw on the streets, they say they have $2,000. Eventually, even in economics, started critiquing it. So they brought what they call happiness index. Happiness index, for it has a list of ratings. Access to housing, people having jobs, good salaries, good roads, security, feeding, education, and all the rest. The last ratings that came out, of the 160 countries, Uganda was 158. That tells you on that scale, Ugandans were annoyed. Everyone wants to bite the other. So what you are seeing around the country, with this kind of apartheid you are having, everybody hates the other. That's why you would see somebody would hit to kill. Because when somebody hits on the head, honestly, they know you will die. Because they see you with a good car, and possibly things are not moving on their side. And the art psychologists would help in that. Here in Uganda, where counselors are not important, you see people running mad, and we call it a mental case. It is stress. People, it's fatigue that they actually call stress. Somebody has a lot of work in office. You say, I'm stressed, I have a lot of work. You say, oh, stressed. You know what they call stress? You are just fatigued. You must even be thanking God that you have enough work. Others don't have work. So that is where we are. And we implore you, the journalists, because you speak to them, to put some sense in them. That this country, where it's going, they first look for a big victim to understand how deep the problem is. I want to thank you.